Hey everyone, Christopher Price of the Boston Globe and bostonglobe.com here with another edition of the Patriots Report, part of the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. Joined as always by my podcast partner, Chris Hogan. Chris, first of all, first question for you. Are you faster than Mike Vrabel running down the sidelines at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, chasing Antonio Gibson?
Please, Mike, I think he ran for like 10 yards and then he had to pull up because he probably just, was out of breath in that Miami heat. But I mean, we could talk about that sequence of plays. That was
Dramatic.
That was very,
very
dramatic. Give up a punt return, then just come right back and just have a kickoff return for a touchdown. I mean, hey, you want to talk about making plays for your team and then coming up big in those types of situations to try to win a football game. That's it right there. I mean, that is it. So
yeah,
hats off to Gibson, hats off to the kickoff return team. That was a big time moment in that game for sure.
A little bit of inside journalism here. At that point, after they ran the punt back and took the lead, roughly, midway through the fourth quarter, my plan was to write how bad the special teams was through the first game and a half. Because the kicker missed the field goal. Borregales missed the field goal in week one. Week two, he missed 2 extra points, and they give up the run back on the punt for the touchdown, in addition to numerous special teams penalties. So at that point, I'm like, okay, look, you kind of prepare yourself. This is the story I'm going to write. And then Antonio Gibson comes along and changes the narrative, and they hang on for the first win in Miami in 6 years. Drake Maye was in high school. Last time the Patriots beat the Dolphins in Miami. Look, there's a couple of things here that I want to kind of start with really off the top.
I was having nightmares. I had major flashbacks. And they keep replaying that damn clip of Gronk stumbling again. I mean, it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm reliving this moment right now in my head. And then they freaking get and then what's his name? I think it was Acne, whatever his last name is.
Achan.
And he runs it down the sideline. I'm like, God, I mean, that wasn't as dramatic as when we lost down there, but good Lord, this is not good.
I always go down with 2 minutes to go to kind of get a good spot downstairs and kind of see guys come in and get a sense of how they're feeling after the game. I've lived through too many wild finishes in Miami, too many weird ball games. I was frozen in my seat. I'm like, the people leaving, I don't care. I'm going to sit right here and make sure that the end really is going to be the end here. Two things. First of all, and Diggs said it afterward, look, there's a bunch of things that they need to clean up. Special teams, other than the kick return, was really kind of ugly, and this team can't afford those kind of breakdowns. Defensively, still too many chunk plays, too many explosive plays given up. But really, the biggest takeaway at the end of the day was something that Diggs said in the locker room: I'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss.
Yeah,
and this team right now doesn't have the luxury of saying, well, I'll take this win, but I won't take this win.
No.
It's when the alternative is 0-2 and the Steelers coming in next week, and you can go to 0-3 like that.
Yep.
You take this win and you understand that this is the thing moving forward. And then the second thing was that this, I think, would have been a perfect kind of game when you guys were with Bill, because you got the win, sure, but oh boy, film study Monday morning, there's a lot to clean up. There's a lot to clean up.
No one would be looking forward to that Monday meeting.
Yeah, it's a win, and there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, but you still feel good about where you are. You got Vrabel his first win as a Patriots head coach. You're 1-1. You pushed Mike McDaniel a little closer to the edge. Here, I want to show this to you. They were handing these out before the game.
Yeah, that Miami is going to be that fan base is going to be turning on that team faster than you know it. They might not sell. There probably won't be anyone in the stands next. Where if whatever their next home game is, they're going to struggle to sell tickets because
they have a short week. They face the Bills.
Oh,
if they go to 0-3,
forget it. Gone. See you later, Mike. Yep.
Yeah, all bets are off. So let's just get a couple of thoughts from you on this one, because we could go for 2 hours if we wanted to, and I don't think we want to go for 2 hours here, but I just want to get a couple thoughts from you in this on this game, on this win? What does this mean for the team? And then we're going to get to some listener questions here that we got in the week of the game last night.
I mean, again, I'm happy with, and I'm always going to talk from an offensive perspective. I'm seeing, like we said, we thought exactly what was going to happen, right? More run. It's opening up the pass game. I don't see Drake on his back a whole lot. The protection seems to be holding up fairly well. There's some things that are going on, but you have a mobile quarterback who's going to be able to step up in the pocket, and he made some plays with his feet, had a touchdown run. Josh is getting him outside the pocket. He's making good decisions. Listen, it's not where it needs to be, but it's trending in the direction that it needs to be. The tight ends are playing well. The backs were playing well. I mean, that catch on the sideline, you're gonna have to help me with the names, but
Ramondre had the
Ramondre
had the 55-yarder.
That catch that he had on the sideline that Ramondre had, that was an insane catch. I don't think people realize that. Yes, it was a great ball in stride, but that was full extension. He really got one hand on it, and he's not a back that you expect that to come from that. That was a huge play in that game. So there are a lot of things that this offense is doing very well. You can just tell that this has Josh's fingerprints all over it, with the screen passes and the run, play action, boots to all of these things. The thing that's missing, I think, is Stephon and Drake are not on this. I'm not going to say they're not on the same page, because there were a couple of plays where they were 4th and short, and they made a nice little. It was kind of like a sit down spot route, and Steph was right there. But then there was the one across, the in route that he had where Drake kind of threw it behind him. I kind of thought that he was going to settle in that zone, and they weren't quite on the same page. Whose fault that was, I don't know. Drake kind of gave you one of these after that play, so I said it was on him. So they're not totally on the same page. Did Kayshawn have any catches?
He had the one-hander in the end zone in the first half.
Right. He had a touchdown. Right. He had the touchdown, which was a real, again, insane catch. Also, not going to talk to, I could talk about that route. Most players, most receivers in that type of situation are just going to get kind of pushed to the sideline. But he did such an awesome job of stacking that defender and getting on top of him. That he made that touchdown. Great throw by Drake. But if most guys are got kind of widen out and keep kind of going to the sideline, he did an awesome job of stacking, made a big play. So would like to see him get involved, because I think that he can be a big part of this offense. Matt Collins showed up, kind of in those big play situations type thing. So again, like we talked about, there has to be more consistency. We killed ourselves with penalties again. I don't know what the hell is going on with the false starts, because that is our Achilles heel right now in the offense.
Morgan Moses had 3 of them.
Yeah, that's tough, man. You can't. That is a mental error, right? And we just that just kills drives. We were able to overcome, I think, maybe one of them, but that really hurts us. Kate, the young guy, the running back.
Trevion Henderson had a couple. Will Campbell had a false start as well.
But Trevion had a bunch of holding calls. Listen, I'm not going to kill him over it. That's tough. That's tough duty. Blocking Chubb off the edge and having to hold up. But we can limit some of those penalties. The thing that was probably the most frustrating was the fucking kicking game. And mind you, listen, the field goals and extra points is inexcusable to me. That has to be better. But you're seeing it across the league, is the amount of penalties that these kickers are having. Because obviously teams have gone, we're going to say, okay, we're not going to kick it out of the end zone because we don't want to give the ball to the other team on the 35. So we're going to make them return it. But we're doing this squib kick type thing, and no one's getting it into the landing zone. I mean, you're seeing it's in every single game. There is a penalty for a kicker not getting the ball deep enough. And that to me is just like, all right, I mean, what's the difference here? Like, if you're gonna do that, you're just giving them the ball's placed on the 40. You might as well just kick it out of the end zone and give them to him at the 35 if you're gonna do that. So I mean, that to me has to be better. I'd rather just send the ball. Yeah, I don't know. I think they gotta kind of figure that out. So
They do. They do. I agree. Yeah.
Borregales, I mean, he
Yeah.
kind of, he kicked the field goal and kind of redeemed himself a little bit, but like, it just the little things where it's like you miss one, you miss two, and now we're going for two. So it makes it tough when you get into a close game like that, where in reality that should have been a two-score game at some point instead of that close. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of things, like we said, a lot of things to clean up, but a win is a win in this league and trending in the right direction, right? I mean, things are positive. There are a lot of positives to take from that, but there are a lot of things that this team needs to kind of clean up to continue to kind of win these close games that we're going to be in.
Couple things to focus on moving forward. I think that really when you look at what the Patriots did on special teams, for years and years, this is a franchise that won on the margins. You guys won on the margins all the time, and a lot of times that was because of the special teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see them bring in a handful of kickers on Tuesday.
Why would you not?
For tryout at the very least. I don't think that they're going to flip it that quickly. Because I think Borregales had a pretty strong summer, and I think that that's still kind of in the back of their minds. And look, I know a lot of this is performative, but they released the video from the locker room where Vrabel is talking to the team after the game, and he's handing the game. I don't know if you've seen it. He's handing the game ball around, and he's going over to Marte Mapu for the big interception, and he's going over to he's going to Ramondre, which I think, by the way, we prematurely buried Ramondre Stevenson before the start of the season in the wake of Trevion Henderson's great summer. But he also went over to Andy Borregales and he said, "Look, I had no doubt putting you out on the field for that 53-yarder at the end of the game. And look, I know a lot of that again is performative." But I think that there is still something there with him. I don't know that, especially in the wake of him, that's his home stadium. He grew up kicking. He's a University of Miami guy. He grew up kicking there. So it's like, is it jitters? Is it home? He's in front of friends and family. Is it? I don't know what it is.
Listen, he's a young kid. Listen, if it becomes a problem, then it has to. We can't sit here and accept, right, and just be like, hey, we're going to miss field goals or we're going to miss extra points like that. That to me that falls on Mike. That's just bad coaching. If we're going to sit here and just accept that's going to happen. So it was one game. I know he missed one in the first, but hopefully it gets better and then he can kind of turn this around. It's 2 games. I'm not going to write this story for this kid for the rest of the season. I think he obviously knows it needs to be better, especially on the extra points. But if you want to talk about having, some nuts, right? I mean, we're going for it on 4th and 3. We false start again. And then you back him up and it's like, okay, now we have to kick the field goal. And you send him out there a 53-yarder and he nails it. It's like that to me was a big time kick in that game. Like that essentially won the game for us. And that was a big time play by him. So I credit him for going out there after not having a strong start and kicking a field goal with the game on the line, let's just call it, and hitting it. So there is that. I mean, there's some positives taken from it. It's the kickoff penalties.
It's crazy. It is,
dude. It drives me nuts.
They took one of those yesterday. They ended up, and the other thing too, from a broader perspective, 12 penalties for 75 yards for them. This was not a masterpiece ball game, and let's not get this twisted here. Because let's not call it a great ball game aesthetically. I mean, it was a shootout, and at the end, it got dramatic. But this was not an especially aesthetically pleasing game for a few reasons. All the penalties, the heat, I think it wore guys down on both sides of the ball. as
Yeah.
the game went on. But yeah, to your point, the kicking penalties, that's another part of the special teams woes. And look, it's taken place across the league. But
Yep.
when you look at a team that had such a strong summer, a special teams group that had such a strong summer, that is particularly puzzling.
Yeah, I mean that's just, they got to figure it out. I mean, if that's how we're going to approach the kicking game, then like that has to be practiced at nauseum here, so that we're not just giving the ball to 40. Because we did it at the end of the game. We kicked it, it didn't get to the landing zone, and like you're giving the team a chance to start at the 40-yard line with the game on the line, where now it just makes it, you're just shortening the field, man. I mean that the stat that's going to come out after this season about the amount of hidden yardage that teams were gaining on this one play alone because of the penalties and starting at the 40-yard line. I mean, it's going to be a pretty dramatic stat. I mean, they're going to have to go into this, and teams are going to go in at the end of the season, and they're going to have these conversations with the refs in the league and players association and be like, listen, this is yeah, do I like the amount of returns that we're getting? Absolutely. But like you're really kind of shooting yourselves in the foot if you can't do this play effectively and give a team a chance just to give at the 40-yard line. So, you're going to see a lot of things change, and we'll see how teams kind of approach it, because it's happening all over the league.
All right. We got a handful of questions.
The punting was better.
The punting was better.
The punting is better. That punt when we got the penalty, we had the penalty, and they made us do a re-kick. And I had a coach in Buffalo, and I think a lot of special teams coaches have this comment, but nothing good ever happens on a re-kick, ever. Right? You got the same guys that are gassed. They just ran down the field, a battle for 40, 50 yards, whatever it is, and then they backed them up. I'm like, oh, here we go. They put Tyreek back there to catch it, and they start going over his stats of like punt returns. I'm like, this is not good. And then dude blasted 60 yards, and I think he only got like a 10-yard return, which was a really good punt. So was pleased to see that.
You'd like Behringer, by the way. You'd like Behringer. He's a big golfer.
Oh yeah,
you guys would get along. You guys, he talks all the time. We talk all the time about how his golfing informs his punting, and his punting informs his golfing.
Okay.
Kind of making the connection. Yeah, making the connection between the two. So we got some questions. I put out the call on Blue Sky after the game for a few questions, and a whole lot of people answered. And I'm going to go through a few of them now here while we have a chance. First of all, Daisy Maisie, I thought Maye played much better today. How much of that is due to the adjustments that Josh McDaniels, Drake Maye, and the offense made in execution versus the quality, and she puts quality in quotes, of the Miami defense? I would probably put a little bit more on Josh and Drake than I would on the Miami defense, although the Miami secondary was pretty beaten up, pretty ragged. Yeah. There was no Jalen Ramsey back there. And Josh, earlier in the week, talked to us and expressed a real level of contrition about the run-pass imbalance against the Raiders. And so my inclination is to give a little bit more credit there, but that was not the Miami defense of a couple of years ago. I'll say
no, it's not. But again, we can't sit here and just say, "Oh, they didn't have any studs out there or whatever." Like that, those are NFL players, right? And like they might not be the Jalen Ramseys of the world, but they're still playing, and they had a game plan and all that kind of stuff. So I credit Josh, and I credit the Patriots offense for kind of changing up what they did. What I can tell you is the more the run game that we have, it opens up a lot. I mean, we did not see play action last year. We didn't. There was no play action. And if there was, Drake was literally on his back within seconds. But that right there, you can just tell that is Josh, right? The protection, the play calling, the timing of these things. He's getting the play action. Like I would have loved it. We had one in the beginning of the game where it was the play action, but I know Josh is going to kill him on this, but the play action for the handoff and then for the reverse, I'm like, Drake, literally, I mean, no one in the stands fell for that, man. I mean, the ball was literally in front of you. So like that, I mean, clean that up because that's all part of it. But like we were able to run it. We was able to get back. I mean, we got guys on the move where the tight ends are getting involved. So, I I mean, did Pop even play?
Well, that also I have a question on that coming
So
up.
like, like I think we need to get more guys involved offensively that I would love to see the ball in their hands. But like, hey, it was a run. We wanted to run the ball. Gibson had some good runs. Kavion had some good runs. Ramondre had good runs. So like they were all involved. Like this is a process, people. Right, Pat. Like I'm speaking all Pat's Nation right now. Like this whole process, it's not going to happen in week 1 and week 2, but we're going to see. You have Ramondre who's made some big plays. You had Gibson in there. You had all those backs in there that all made good plays and had good runs. Both the tight ends were heavily involved, and that's probably what the game plan was. The game plan wasn't to have the receivers to have 10, 12 targets and move the ball down the field. This is what they thought was going to win the game. And guess what? We're 1-1. We won the game in Miami. We haven't won there in what, 6 years, you said?
6 years, almost to the day.
Okay. So like take the dub, man. Like that's a victory, right? And then let's move on. We have the Steelers. I'll tell you right now, Josh's gonna have a hell of a game plan for Pittsburgh. So like, and they're coming off a big loss. So it's like there are a lot, there's gonna be things to clean up, and there are a lot of things to clean up, but like I am a fan of what this team is doing and what Drake and Josh are doing together.
I got as soon as that play, that weird little rinky dink end around that fooled no one. I got a text from a friend of my buddy Jason who was like, "What the hell was going on there?" And it was a case of Josh, I think, getting too cute. And it's just this offense, I think, is better when it just kind of is really straightforward and really simple. So you ask, where's Pop? And we got a question on that. Danny says, biggest positive, Drake May's control. Biggest negatives, where's Pop? Where's Christian Gonzalez?
Yeah.
A game without Christian Gonzalez. They need to get Gonzo back in the lineup, man.
Yeah.
Maybe in hindsight, it would have been better to put him on short-term IR, where he could have missed the first 4 games and just you didn't even think about it. So
well, I mean, what's his deal? What do we have going on right now?
This is these. He's missed the first 2 games.
Is hamstring or what?
It's still the hamstring. The hamstring is still a problem.
I mean,
but those 2 guys, where's Pop and where's Gonzo?
I mean, Christian. I mean, listen, I've seen a lot of guys battle hamstring injuries, and I know that can be tough for a lot of people. So if he is missing games, I'm sure there's some real concerns with what's going on, and I'm sure it's not due to a lack of rehab. The kid, seems pretty like he's committed to everything. So it's clearly probably a little bit worse than we think. But he's missed, and in those crucial situations, Tyreek with the 30+ yard bomb down the field, and even last week with kind of these big chunk plays that are just, our defense is we're in the best possible position, right? 3rd and long situations. And it's like, okay, all we got to do is get off the field, and we just chuck it down the field, and we can't, and then they just, another set of downs. I mean, that's tough, when teams are just consistently doing that, and everyone's watching it. So they're going to take their chances week in and week out until we can prove that we can get off the field on those types of things. And then, again, Pop, I think it wasn't in the game plan, right? It wasn't something. And again, I think we have to trust the process of get where this offense and establishing what kind of identity they're going to be, run, pass. And I think there's still a lot of that quarterback relationship kind of is continuing to evolve, right? And he's figuring out, where Pop is going to be and what plays and Josh is also doing the same thing. It's like, okay, like where do I need to put this guy? Because that's the thing with Josh, is he's just not going to roll out a bunch of players and put them in spots that he doesn't think that they're going to be successful. We saw a lot more of Stephon this week, right? So they clearly wanted to get Steph involved a little bit more and get the ball in his hands, and he made some really good plays. Some plays that move the ball, move the chain. So I think we just have to we don't need to jump to any conclusions right now. I think we just need to kind of trust the process with Josh and the offense. And I think Pop will start popping up more and more as the weeks kind of go on. Where's Williams? I mean, he had such a good summer and we were talking so highly of him. So it's not, I think a part of this is just, all right, what are the personnel is going to be? Who's going to be together? Who are we going to group together? Again, you'll see it as we go on here, that we'll keep the more that we can add to the personnels and the changes. And okay, we got Steph, Booty, and Booty King, whatever it is. I apologize, Kayshawn, for screwing up your last name. But you have all those guys. It's like, what's the combination? We saw more Mac Hollins was on. I don't know how many snaps he had on offense, but he had a ton, right? He was out there a lot. And what you did see was Mac was out there in that 21 or the 12 personnel with the two receivers, and they were using him as a blocker, right? So kind of coming down, inserting for the safety. He actually made a really good play. I saw him come down. Drake was pointing out, the linebacker and the safety, and Mac made a good block on the end and actually sprung, I think it was Ramondre or Gibson for a chunk run, 10 yards or so, got a first down. So again, it's a process here. And I think Josh just figuring out the best possible groupings to put out there in the game. And week to week, it's going to change.
I like Alex Austin. I think Alex Austin is a young, competitive cornerback who is a pretty good backup, but Alex Austin is not Christian Gonzalez.
No.
You lose so much without your best defensive player on the field. I'm going to say he was the best defensive player on the field last year for this team. And I think when he gets out there and when he's 100%, he's still the best defensive player on this roster. Handful of other questions. John Leonis, unbelievably bad clock management at the end of the game nearly cost them. They're very lucky that Echan stepped out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's something that we touched on before, that it wasn't a question either. He was clearly out of bounds.
Yeah,
he wasn't necessarily shoved out of bounds, but he was just in the process of running down the sidelines. He misstepped and stepped out of bounds. What would have been a go-ahead touchdown at that point. You know what, too? I got to be honest, as a journalist, you're sitting up there, and I went back and I looked at the score of the Miami Miracle. It was 34-33. Scores. If Echan scores, it would have been 34-33 in that moment with like a minute and a half to go. So, they got lucky there. But you know what? You need a little bit of luck.
I was surprised by the pass option.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that. That to me was, in that type of situation, that was a bit uncharacteristic, I think, of Josh. Especially with, I think there was a minute and 50 seconds left, and we came out and we threw the ball on, second, whatever, and it stopped the clock. And now, that to me, again, that's Mike, that's Josh. They're going to have to go back and, they're going to evaluate themselves as much as they're going to be evaluating this team and how they played. And I doubt that they would make the same decision. And maybe they thought this was the best play for this type of situation, or Josh thought that they were going to have them on their heels, and they thought that, whatever, the defense that they were expecting, maybe it was a little bit different. And, it is what it is. And at the end of the day, we won the football game. So we can't sit here and say this cost them the game. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe in a different world, maybe we run that ball and kind of see what happens and let the clock run down. And now Miami, maybe that could change a lot of things. It really could, right? With Miami's play calling, the amount of time left on the clock. So, but again, they will evaluate that and make, hopefully, or again, maybe that was the best decision. We don't really know, but maybe they'll make a different decision, next week if we're in that type of situation.
Miami fans started clearing out after Marte Mapu's.
Of course they did, because they're fair weather fan. Like, what are we talking about? I'm sitting here with a bunch of people, and they're like, "Who is Miami fans? Like, who are they actually?" Because probably felt like a home game every single time. Listen, we haven't won there in 6 years, but and I played for the Bills, I played for the Jets, I played for New England. It always felt like a home game, right? Because it's just like Maye is just a bunch of mixed bag of different fans, and there's different jerseys there that aren't even playing in the game. And they've had better teams, but like, yeah, of course they were, because they're not real fans. I'm sorry, but they're not. They really, you're gonna have bad weather, or they're gonna come out and go 0-3, and again, like I said, there's gonna be no one in the stands.
I think
they'd rather be on the beach.
If they go 0-3, the talk down here is they're going to fire McDaniels. I wouldn't be surprised. Mike McDaniels.
There's been too much negativity surrounded, but with him and the team and Tua and all this. They're almost kind of forcing themselves into that corner of making that decision if that's what happens.
Keith Gentis says, appreciate the coverage. Nice to finally get one against Tua. Pre-game, the consensus was that Miami's front seven was a pretty strong group. Despite the numerous flags, how would you assess the rookies and the offensive line performance overall? I don't recall hearing Will Campbell's name all that much. I think other than the penalties, he took 2 false starts. I think Will Campbell, and I would have to go back and take a look at the film to really kind of speak on it with any sort of veracity. I thought he did okay. I thought he was okay. I thought that, it was a relatively clean game. Garrett Bradbury said in the locker room afterward that, look, Drake got sacked a couple of times, but, at least one of those was him running out of bounds.
Yep.
And so it's not perfect. But again, I think you make a really good point before. It's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, it's never going to be perfect, right? But if you go back last year to this year, I mean, this is a very different and much better coached offensive line than we've had in the previous couple of years. I can see, like, again, those are mental errors. That stuff needs to be cleaned up, and that will be a major focus on this team of, like, whatever is going on, because it's clearly just miscommunication, because it's not crowd noise. I'm telling you, it's not. There just seems to be some there, whether it's timing of the play call or snap. And I know that Will, in his first game, right, he's probably wanting to get off the ball a little bit quicker, and he knows that it's a pass play. So there's probably some of first game jitters, and, like, get it out of the way. That's fine. I mean, Morgan, you're a vet. I don't really expect that from you. But again, it kind of seems like there's just something off there with the when the play is going to be called and the snap and all that kind of stuff. So, I would expect that to be cleaned up. But I think the offensive line is playing well. I do. I really do. They're going to have to play against some guys, some good edge rushers and some big boys up front. And, I don't expect them to just go sack free every single game, because these are some good football players. But I don't see Drake on the run a lot, and I don't see him, like, rut on third situations, third and short. The other thing is the play calling is better.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah.
Third and short, third and maybe third and medium, third and long. Like, yeah, guess what? Blitz zero's coming. They're sending a guy off the edge. We have an answer for it. Like, Drake has an answer. Josh has the answer for it. And we're getting the ball out. If we get the first down, great, but we're still moving the ball. We haven't had the answer for those defenses and for those situations, whether it was coaching, whether it was the player. I'm not going to sit here and tell you which one it was, but we have an answer for those things this year, because they are just a better coached team right now. There needs to be some cleanup on some of this mental stuff that's going on. But again, like, trending in the right direction is where we want to see, and progression week to week to week. And, like, Drake looked better. He's going to make some adjustments and have to be a little bit better with his timing. But all this nonsense about having too much on his plate, like, no, dude, that's not the case. They just need to go out there and play and do it well. I mean, he's moving guys in and out. It's quick, right? It's not taking forever. We're doing it with not a lot of time on the clock. Kavion and Ramondre, like, we're motioning him in, we're motioning him out, getting the not, like, okay, man zone, all this sort of stuff. And he's diagnosing it. Like, you could see all this stuff happening, the alerts, tapping the head, changing the play, whatever it is. Like, he's handling all this stuff very, very well. And the game is going to continue to slow down for him the more that he has with Josh in this offense. And week to week, I think it's just going to keep getting better. I do.
You can make an argument that was the best game of his career, of his NFL career. A career high in completion percentage. He accounted for 3 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over.
That's a big one.
Yeah, he threw for 2. He ran for 1.
Yeah.
I wrote this, and the story is up now at bostonglobe.com. It's going to be in Tuesday's paper, that this was one of the best games of his career. And going around the locker room and talking to guys, he has won the hearts and minds of the locker room. Not that was ever a concern or a worry, but we are starting to witness the third overall pick in the draft to kind of make that climb to a point where it's like, oh yeah, this is why he's the third overall pick.
He's putting it on his shoulders, man. He's taking the accountability, and especially for like a play where you're throwing to a 10-year vet and you miss a throw, and the body language is this, whether it was your fault or not, but it was this. And he's taking it on himself. He's taking the responsibility that, like, hey, I'll be better. And he seems like a quiet guy, right? He's not very outspoken, or he's not on the sidelines. It doesn't seem like he's going to be a big rah-rah guy and get in your face, but there's some accountability being taken by him. And in that leadership role as the quarterback, as a captain, that's what I expect. And that's what I wanted to see. And I think, again, it's just going to keep getting, I think, and I would hope that it just keeps getting better as the weeks go on here.
The dash down the sidelines, I don't think Vrabel was helped by the fact that he was wearing long sleeves and a vest, and it was like 85 degrees out.
I know. So him and Josh too. It's like, what are you guys doing, man? You guys just trying to get a pregame, just try to get a pregame sweat in or something.
Just try and I don't know if you want to go with a cutoff sleeves or whatever, but it's not always. Look, I'm a big fan of the vest. I am. I'm a big fan of the vest, especially this time of year in New England. This time of year in South Florida, maybe mix in a t-shirt, a college golf shirt, whatever. I'm just saying. I guess
sticking to his guns, man. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's who he is. So look, we will talk about the Steelers maybe moving forward a little bit. I don't know if you have any. We just want to kind of wrap up here. I don't know if you have any initial thoughts on Pittsburgh. I remember under Bill, we would always ask about the Steelers, and he would always say they do what they do.
Yep.
They've had the same approach, the same attitude, the same game plan since the earth cooled, since they were wearing leather helmets and people were playing on dirt football fields.
You're going to have a change. Yeah, you're going to have Josh's going to have a game plan for this defense. Like we always had a really, really good game plan for this team. As long as we came out and we were playing from ahead, and we were doing the right things and not turning the ball over, I think we're going to have a very good game plan for this team. But, what you're dealing with is, listen, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, DK Metcalf is so these are guys that we're going to have to focus and stop, right? And kind of take DK away, make Aaron beat you with other guys. And then, again, I think it's just the focus should be still New England football and all 3 phases kind of collectively kind of getting this thing to mesh together, because there's still some inconsistencies across the board, right? You're not really scared of the kicking game if you're playing New England, because they had the punt return, right? Miami had the punt return for a touchdown. The kickoff is still a problem, and the field goal. So you're not totally scared of that. So I think that can be a focus this week of making sure that we kind of clean up those sort of things so that we go into this game just feeling better when we are in those situations. And then, the turnovers are great on defense, and the defense came up big, man, in big situations, right?
Martin Mapu.
Yeah,
Mapu with a great pick.
And on the edge, we had some really good rushes by some of these guys, and they were getting to Tua. So there's a lot of good things that are happening, and for Aaron Rodgers, the last thing you want is for him to sit back there with a ton of time to pick and choose who he wants to throw the ball to. So get that guy on the run and get him uncomfortable, and I think we're gonna have another good game. It's just we have to continue progression, right? Just keep getting better each week.
We got a bunch of questions also, and I would be remiss if I didn't address them about Borregales. And I think we talked about enough about Borregales earlier in the podcast, but I want to thank everyone for chiming in with their questions, with their thoughts, with their grievances. Again, I mean, we could have gone for 2 hours on this because it was a remarkable football game. Again, not especially aesthetically pleasing, but it was dramatic as hell. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to cover. And so I think we kind of got everything we could in there. But again, the biggest takeaway from Steph Diggs in the locker room, an ugly win is far more appealing than a pretty loss.
Yeah, I mean, again, like all the people that have questions about Borregales, I think that you just have to that 53-yarder was to have missed 2 extra points and then to go out and nail that 53-yarder. Don't underestimate how hard that was for him to go out there and nail that. So if you're feeling some type of way about it, I get it. There's really no excuse for missing extra points, but he did come out and nail a 53-yarder in a clutch situation. So there's some good to take away from that. And then, like, hey, it was one game. Let him come out to next game and kind of see what the kid's made of and kind of turn this thing around.
Chris Hogan, thank you very much for your time, my friend. Take care, and we will talk again very, very soon.
Thanks, Chris.